alternatives to bail that could be used. And what's happening is, people are saying, I can't pay that bail, so put me in jail. And unfortunately, the whole idea of bail is so someone has skin in the game, so they can still, be with their family. They can still go to their job. They can still go to their church or whatever it is that keeps them connected to community until that trial comes up. So absolutely, we need to do more with our bail system.
And
Yes.
I,
Oh, go ahead, Mama.
I wanted to come in. I wanted to first of all, see, can you put it on mute, Meg? Okay, stop there. I wanted to first say thank you, Mr. Hollister. You made some great points, even in speaking on the parties. And a lot of people say, "Well, I'm Democratic or I'm Republican." You have been in both parties,
I have.
so I want to thank you for that. And I don't know how to identify myself now and going through the battle that I'm going through because I've met both. And I can say from both sides, I've had some things that I'm like, okay, I agree to this or I don't. So I want to thank you because I feel like you're going to have a lot to offer. Like what Med said with the kids, that definitely resonated with me. I feel like any official that goes into office need to have some kind of care about kids because what's being failed in our system is actually the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start on them as kids, if you have a passion for the kids, then you have a heart. But if
Sure.
you come in here and you have no passion for kids, if you can't even think about kids or anything to relate to kids, then how are you going to care about grown people or an entire county or an entire state if you have no passion, not even for kids? So I think that's a big thing, that a big, qualification is, hey, I care about kids. So if I
Mhm.
care about kids, I can care about you. I can care about this county because I want the best for the kids. So thank
Amen.
you.
Amen.
Yes, I love that. And also another question that we had. Shout out to Jean Bickmeyer with Have a Heart for People in the Criminal Justice System. She would like to know, what do you see as a priority at the new jail that's being built?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's two big pieces. One, are we building the right size jail, given the fact that so many of the folks taking residence there are temporary or shouldn't be there at all? And again, that goes back to the bail conversation. But the second part should be really about, our goal should be zero recidivism, zero. Now, I understand that's a lofty goal, but it should be the goal. It should be at least the vision. Um, the jail should really be a place for people who are there to change whatever's not working for them, get job training, address drug and alcohol issues, address mental health issues. It really can be a whole lot more than just housing bodies. In fact, it absolutely should be a whole lot more. Again, going back to the whole idea of zero recidivism, we need workers. We need highly skilled, even semi-skilled workers. That can be accomplished in a jail setting. So I think there's a grander vision for the jail that could be in place, that's not just sweeping people off the street.
Yes, I agree so much. And what a lot of people don't realize is that in Lancaster County, at least, I'm like a big statistics nerd. And so $117 per inmate per day. So now on average, there's about 750 inmates population at Lancaster County Prison in a month's time, or in a day. And so if you take that money, that's like 80, or it's like 90 some thousand, or I forget, million. It's a ton of money. How much we as taxpayers have to, pay for these people to be incarcerated.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the price tag of that jail just keeps sneaking up. I mean,
Right.
they're trying to keep that down, but the last I heard is it's over 300 million.
Right. And that is absolutely crazy. If we could put that back into the community, that kind of takes us into our next question. We are top heavy on law enforcement. While that's a critical function, what would you do to rebalance Lancaster County funds to provide those in need, i.e., like the homeless, the mentally ill? Because we essentially know that, substance abuse is caused from mental, service, or, mental health issues that are not being taken care of. Do you have any, ideas, visions on
Yeah,
how we
I
could
do.
handle that?
So, yeah, a couple of thoughts. First of all, and Meg, you know this, there are a plethora of nonprofits working in this county that are knocking it out of the park. They're just really, if you want to make a dollar scream, give it to a highly functioning nonprofit. And those nonprofits range the gamut of all of the needs that we have. As county commissioner, we can move money from the county commissioners to those nonprofits, set up some type of vetting process or matrix, and we can get that money to groups that are helping the homeless. We can get that money to groups that are addressing mental health, to drug and alcohol, to homelessness, to affordable housing, to job training. There's just so many different groups out there. My wife works with Church World Service, and we've adopted several families. I use the term adoption, but job training and just language skills are their two main priorities, and that can be accomplished through a whole host of intersecting nonprofits here in the county. So the nonprofit world is one way to really address that. I want to address the mental health situation, because that is probably one of the number one healthcare needs we have in this county. As a former school superintendent, I saw, even prior to COVID, the mental health crisis that our kids were in. Coming out of COVID, I don't know what to call it, catastrophic. We are not addressing the mental health needs of our young people, adults as well, but especially our young people. One person who is a major mental health provider here in this county said that he could hire 100 therapists tomorrow. He has 100 openings for therapists. And so we really do need some type of mental health summit, and Lancaster County Commissioners could host that and bring people in from all over the country and really start trying to solve problems.
Yes,
And
Bob,
that's a
that gave
great
me
idea.
goosebumps. Yes, I
Yeah.
love that.
I wanted to comment, Meg, on the jail population and definitely saving from the jail. And it takes me back to the kids, not only because I, have worked with kids and raised kids and, help with other people kids, but I'm big on that because people don't understand it starts at childhood. What you are raising up in your community. Even with a lot of people, it starts at childhood. It's not to say that their childhood is going to determine what it is they're going to do, but the more kids that you can touch or impact within a community can really help. It's going to help with your jail population. It's going to help with a lot of different things because you have support behind these kids. So if you don't start with the youth within your communities, then your communities are going to fail. We know that there's mental health situations, mental health problems in our community now. Not only is it mental health problems, a lot of it is going to be drug abuse. Okay, so a lot of what we're calling mental health problems now is drug abuse. So you can't face one of them without facing the other. And I think we're getting beyond the drug abuse. And now the drug abuse have now became mental health abuse, and we're focusing on it, but we're leaving things out. It's almost like we're just taking a step or focusing on one issue. I feel like combating them all will help. Number one, your youth. They're making up your jail populations or your crimes in a lot of your communities or what have it. They're dying out here by the numbers. So youth has to be the focus. Not only that, it's our youth mainly that is out here mentally. Look at it, you guys. It's young people out here in the streets with these mental issues. And a lot of those issues stem from drugs and from childhood. So in facing them all, I feel like we should face your youth, face your drug addictions, and also face your mental health because that's what's contributing. And that's just my opinion.
No, I think your point is well taken. I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, schools have had to accept the fact that kids today have a lot of trauma, and so there are ways to assess that trauma and then teach to that trauma. And unfortunately, we're sort of in the baby stage in public schools, understanding that and understanding how to do that. But we are at least aware, and that's the good news. Your public schools can still be that place where a lot of great things can happen on top of the academics. Unfortunately, the reality of it is it's just not academics anymore. We've got to address the trauma that kids have. Years ago, and it may still be true, they used to predict the jail populations based on third grade reading scores. Well, imagine that. You can tell by third grade what your prison population is going to be because of academic success. So you're absolutely spot on. School matters and our kids matter, and there's things that we can do. it's not a helpless or hopeless situation.
Yeah, so true. And it'll be great to have, a commissioner hopefully that has those views and visions for our youth, because that is our future generation. So, and with that being said as well, what was your favorite childhood memory from Lancaster County? I know you
Oh
said you was
man,
born and raised here.
oh my gosh, that's really hard to nail down. I boy, oh boy. I mean, I remember, back before there were all the orchards and all the places to go, there was a little apple farm outside of, just up from Safe Harbor, that we used to go to in the fall when we start making apple pies. I used to love to go in there and just smell it. But there are so many great memories growing up here in Lancaster County. Always going to Redmond's at least once. When the Christmas decorations were up, when the original Christmas store was Redmond's. There's just so many wonderful experiences I had growing up here. It's a great memory place for me, and I love Lancaster County. I love um, so many aspects. I still drive around. I'm fortunate. My father is still in the same house that I grew up in, which is unusual. It's a little rancher out in West Hempfield. Unfortunately, my mom passed way too long ago, 25 years ago. But when I go home, I still get to go home. So I just love every part of Lancaster County.
Well, that is amazing. I love that. We have two left. These are kind of like more personal questions, I guess, from our listeners. The next one is: would you stand up to the district attorney, Heather Adams, who she's publicly indicated that her office does not need a conviction integrity unit, even though
Mm.
Lancaster County has a documented history of wrongful convictions? Now, as a commissioner, you would work directly with the district attorney's office. Is that correct? Because they sit on the board as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so we would, and I think, I mean, we've got to get to a point where we're comfortable. Um, what's the word? Auditing ourselves, being comfortable with our mistakes and addressing them, being transparent. I do think transparency is an issue for our county government right now, and that's something I would bring to the front. As a school superintendent, I had a reputation of being one of the most transparent in the region. I never ducked a call from the press or Lancaster newspaper, and they'll tell you that. They'll say, Bob always picked up. Even if Bob had made a mistake, Bob picked up. And so I think you have to own mistakes, and I would encourage Heather to do the same thing. And, if she wasn't willing to do that, then we would have to have a different conversation.
And that is good. And if you run into that situation, Meg, if you could put it on mute for the echo, please. And if you run into that situation, Bob, I wanna ask you. Okay, I'm gonna ask you, and then I'm gonna tell you too. Okay, because I'm gonna be
Question.
impulsive.
I've
So
never
I'm
had
gonna
that
ask you. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to tell you, Mr.
before.
Hollister. I just have to on that situation with the DA, because that's very touchy with me. Okay, I want to ask you to make sure that you stick with what your answer was, and that's we will have to have a conversation if they're not doing the correct thing. And I
Mhm.
want to tell you, okay? So this is the part that I'm going to tell you.
I
I
love it. I
want
love
to
that.
tell. So I'm going to tell you the same thing that I asked you, and that's to make sure you guys have that conversation. Because
Okay.
the problem that we're running into, that I see, and this is in different counties around the world and whatever have to experience with, what people is going through. No one is standing up to the DAs. No
Mm.
one is standing up to those in authority.
Mm.
And in order for you to run a house, you have to clean it sometimes.
Agreed.
So we need officials that are willing to clean it. And that's just the honest answer, willing to stand up. We understand things happen. I don't say it's a bad, things happen. People
Sure.
choose sides. That's what they do, right? Part of
Yep.
life.
Yep.
But I feel like we need more officials to stand up. And honestly, I feel like you have the capabilities and the qualifications. You've hit some main things. Every question that we have asked you, you have came off back with. And I want to let people know that these questions you did not have training time for, okay?
No.
So they
Nope.
came up last minute, these questions, and you were able to answer each one of those questions in its entirety. So I want to thank you. Um, I definitely do. I want to thank you.
Appreciate
And I know that you're going to do great jobs in Lancaster. And I know that because I met you and I told you so. Okay. So you be like, she told me
it.
that I better. Okay. So you
Well,
got this, Bob.
I mean, I think you're perceptive. I mean, I think the difference in me is, um, I don't need the job. I don't need it for any status. I've had plenty of time in the paper. I've had plenty of time on the news. I don't I don't need any of the attention. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's a calling. It's it's taking a lifetime of leadership. I was a school administrator for 27 years, 14 of those as superintendent, but I was a school administrator 5 years into my teaching career. And so I have skill sets of working with people and bringing people together and problem solving difficult problems. We can get into the transgender issue we had at Eastern Lancaster County School District 5 years ago. That was tough for that community, but we found solutions. And there's a lot of work that's got to go into that. But I appreciate your acknowledgement of that, because I really do think I will challenge people because I've got nothing to lose. I think there's a reason the current Republican commissioners are attacking me. I don't think they want me sitting next to them, and I think there's a reason for that.
You know what? You got me over here nodding my head. Man, I can
Yes,
tell you,
me too.
I don't shake my head too much unless I get a good feeling. And you stated something that I want everyone to know, and that was, I don't have to do this.
Right.
And those are the people that we need, the people that don't have to do this. Now, not the people that got to do this, want to stay here. He's retired. He mentioned that early on. He's
Right.
been in the papers. He's been in the scene. He's not doing this for a photo moment.
No.
He's doing this based on the things that he have learned. You got me nodding my head. I'm with you.
I
I'm
appreciate
gonna let Meg take over it, and I thank you so much, Mr. Hollister.
it. Thank you for your kind words.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
Bob, I just think you're amazing. And I feel like that, this is our last question. I feel like you don't ever ask a question that you don't know the answer to. So I have my own personal opinions,
Uh-huh.
that, are mine, but not any organization I'm a part of, because that's come up with me before too. But do you think there is corrupt politicians or
Hmm.
people in Lancaster County that we do need to, clean house with, per se, like Miss V had said?
Corruption is a bar that's pretty high. I mean, corruption to me says illegal activity.
Right.
I I don't know for certain one way or the other if there's illegal activity, but I do know for certain that there is unethical activity,
Yes.
and there is
Yeah.
retribution if you're a whistleblower. There's punishment if you step out of line. That's factual information. I
Right.